We are going to talk about the attack of 11th September 2001. We will talk how the government decides its own people and look for a pretext to continue a war. We will also explain what was the liar, what did he do, when did it happen, why did he do it, and two questions at the end. How did it all end? Is there a sure of end for this
The authors
historical
of
lie?
Lie were the most important people of the United States government, mainly George Bush. Were a series of suicide bombings committed that day in the United States by 19 members of the Al-Qaeda jihadist network by hijacking commercial aircraft to be hit against various targets, causing the death of the 3,016 people, including the 19 terrorists, and 24 disappeared, and leaving another 6,000 injured, as well as the destruction in New York of the entire complex of the World Trade Center buildings, including the Twin Towers, and serious damage to the Pentagon building, headquarters of the Department of Defense of the United States. Unit in the state of Virginia, an episode that would precede the war in Afghanistan and the adoption by the U.S. government and its allies of the so-called War on Terror policy.
The attack was carried out on September 11 of 2001, and it was described as the biggest lie and swindle. The USA government blamed Osama bin Laden as the main author, but after much research, it is said that the culprit was the USA government. The goal was to cause panic in the American population and achieve the climate in the world population that will allow future invasions of the United States to the countries of the Middle East in order to control their oil. Professor David Wright, author of a work in which the official report is studied, found 115 lies, in which many blamed the government of then President Bush. Among them is the omission of the fact that President Bush and other members of his administration often referred to the attack as opportunities, and the omission of the notes from the Donald Roosevelt talks that show that he was determined to use the attacks as a pretext to unleash a war against
17 years have passed of one of the events most tragic terrorists of the last century. But is everything as you paint? People still believe that yes. There are two hypotheses. According to various scientific studies, although some alternative theories propose that the secret agents of Israel or Pakistan were behind the attacks. The hypotheses that have achieved the great impact are usually based on of these two hypotheses. One, the United States government had prior knowledge of the attacks and deliberately did nothing to prevent them. And two, it was the United States government itself that orchestrated and perpetrated the attacks. This group of theories question the cause of the collapse of the Twin
Now
Towers.
we know that the government will not always see the benefit for its people, because there will always be interests beyond human life, such as a power in the economy. To prevent falling into lies, it is necessary to be well informed about the issues that happen in the world. Accountment that happen in the world.
10 disturbing 9/11 secrets. Number 10. 9/11 Commission. Key members of the 9/11 Commission state that the Commission was set up to fail. Lee Hamilton, head of the commission, and many other members of the 9/11 Commission criticized the government for sabotage. This was due to terrible funding, lack of time given to complete the commission, and conflicting interests of many members chosen by the government, and many alleged cover-ups. Max Cleland resigned after labeling the commission a national scandal and saying that the government wants to cover up the truth. He also said that officials from the Pentagon lied to the 9/11 Commission. Number 9. Funding. The General Accounting Office of the United States claims that the average funding for commissions into scandals and other investigations is around $30 to $40 million. Despite this, 9/11, the largest terrorist attack on American soil, only received $15 million, leading many to believe that the US government purposefully underfunded the 9/11 Commission in an attempt to hide facts about 9/11. Number 8. Building 7. World Trade Center 7, next to the Twin Towers, collapsed at 5:20 p.m., more than 7 hours after the second tower fell. No planes hit the building whatsoever and was only damaged slightly by fire. The BBC reported the building as collapsed live on air 20 minutes before it actually collapsed. The report even showed Building 7 behind the reporter as she documented the collapse. World Trade Center 7 was the largest CIA headquarters and housed offices which were investigating stock and accounting fraud. Building 7 was also the first building to be cleaned up, and all evidence from the building was destroyed. Number 7. Larry Silverstein. Wealthy CEO of Silverstein Properties, Larry Silverstein, made some questionable investments on July 24, 2001, 49 days before the attack. Silverstein spent more than $14 million of his personal assets to win a bid on a 99-year lease of the World Trade Center. This did not render Silverstein owner, however, did make him the primary benefactor of the insurance money that was paid out from the attack. After a long and expensive legal battle with the insurance firm, Silverstein was personally awarded almost $5 billion by a federal court. Number 6. Bush's security. At 9:06 a.m., President Bush was informed that a plane had hit the World Trade Center and that America was under attack. Immediately, many high-profile politicians, such as Vice President Dick Cheney, were rushed to a secure position. However, despite his location being known, President Bush remained at Booker Elementary School for 20 minutes after learning about the attack. Number 5. Bush lies. While at a speech regarding the 9/11 attacks in Orlando, Florida in 2001, a small child asked Bush about his feelings when he heard about the attacks. Bush stated that he saw the first plane hit the tower live on a television at the school he was visiting. However, many have questioned this claim as the only footage of the plane hitting the first tower was yet to be released until September 12, 2001, a day after the attacks. Number 4. Bad advice. After the plane hit the first tower, many people in the second tower began to try and flee. However, the people were advised by the port authority to remain at their desks. Some still decided to try and escape, but guards blocked their exit from the tower, leaving them locked in. Over 1,000 people later died in the tower. Number 3. The Pentagon. The Pentagon is arguably the most secure and monitored government building in North America. Despite this, no actual footage of a plane hitting the building was ever released. The government only released footage of an explosion seen from a nearby gas station. However, the footage only shows an explosion, no plane. Number 2. William Cooper. On June 28, 2001, 3 months before the 9/11 attacks, William Cooper made some unbelievable predictions on a radio broadcast. He stated that an attack on American soil would be blamed on Osama bin Laden before bin Laden was infamous or well recognized at all. Cooper was found shot dead in his home 2 months after the 9/11 attack. Number 1. Flight 93. The 9/11 Commission reported that the third plane, Flight 93, crashed in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. County Coroner Wally Miller was one of the first at the site and quoted seeing no plane.